The math of this world says pay back everything. If someone gave you a $20 hurt, you give him one right back. You don't discount your revenge even a single nickel. A beanball for a beanball, an eye for an eye. But we're about to graduate to an entirely new system of math. Professional baseball is a universe where the concept of grudges and getting even thrives in fine form. In George Will's spicy baseball book, Men at Work, he interviewed manager Tony La Russa, who was at one time the skipper of the Oakland Athletics. And La Russa confessed quite cheerfully that there was a precise science, a mathematics, to the idea of revenge. It's common knowledge that if the pitcher on the opposing team hits one of your batters, knocks him down with a pitch, you're going to get even. Are you going to just forgive this guy, let him off the hook? Don't be silly. But what if your guy gets plunked and it's in the 8th inning of a crucial game where you're just ahead 2-1? All you need to get is 3 more outs. Are you really going to risk the game itself by hitting one of 3 batters, putting him on base just to get revenge? Who should make the decision whether you retaliate? La Russa asks. Well, it's got to be the manager. Sometimes you walk up to your player who got hit and say, I really believe this guy took a shot at you. We'll get somebody in the 1st inning tomorrow. But there's a bit more to the marvelous mathematics of Major League Baseball. And La Russa is a stickler for proportionality in punishment, George Will writes. You try to match as best you can. If they take a shot at your big producer, then you take a shot back at their big producer. If there's just cold-cocked McGuire, who used to play for the A's back then, and their first batter in the inning is their light-hitting second baseman, that's not the guy. If someone takes a shot at your best rookie, then you look for their promising rookie or their second-year player who is a big star. In other words, you've got to pay back by hitting the same caliber player who got hit on your side. Superstar for superstar, shortstop for shortstop, rookie for rookie. By that theory, if McGuire got hit in the 7th inning and I was Sammy Sosa coming up to bat in the next inning, I'd just as soon phone it in, because the math of baseball says I'm not going to get a hit, I'm going to get hit. Well, it's kind of amusing to read, and you wonder who keeps the records. Skip, we owe the Mariners 1 bop on the thigh and a beanball on somebody's shoulder in this game. That's left over from last season when we never paid them back. That kind of a thing. But you know, how often do we live this same way in our own lives away from the base paths? If someone does you dirty to the tune of $50, don't you think about some way to get exactly that even? 50 for 50? Like the fictional George Costanza, who says to the pharmacy clerk on Seinfeld, this isn't over. You have my $10. You may think it's over, but it isn't. I will get that money back. And he devotes his every waking moment to scoring $10 worth of revenge against that store by shoplifting it or whatever. If your enemy insults you, you carefully weigh exactly how hurt you are, and you want to hurt him back that much, if not a bit more. Slugger for slugger, rookie for rookie. And as we've already found out, this mathematical framework simply does not work. It leaves everybody bruised and battered, both in body and soul. The math of revenge is a universal failure, and in our hearts, we know it. Let me take you back to where we started in this series, though. The incredible Christian book, Dead Man Walking, written by Sister Helen Prejean. A man named Lloyd LeBlanc went through the horror of a missing son. No one knew where David was. What had happened to him? Was he just missing? Kidnapped? But then the dreaded phone call came from the police. We think we found your boy's body. Some nameless, faceless, evil monster out there, someplace, had done this, killed his son. The love of his life, the light of his existence, gone. Now, according to the math of the Oakland A's and the other 29 or 39 baseball clubs in the world, Lloyd LeBlanc would have just one choice: to hate and burn with anger until the wonderful day when he could stick a knife into Patrick Saunier and see his life ooze away. Until the day when he could take a shotgun and blow that miserable creep's head off. Until the day, April 5, 1984, when he could watch as prison officials at Angola hit the switch that electrocuted inmate number 95281. That's the math of the world. That's what this grieving father had. Saunier killed my boy. Now I will participate mentally and morally and spiritually in wanting him dead. Life for life, pain for pain, tear for tear. I will get even. I will balance the scales. But remember, Mr. Lloyd LeBlanc was a Christian man, not a pitcher for the Oakland A's. The mathematics of the gospel was supposed to be different for him. But listen to this, though. If you didn't see the film, and try to picture the scene in your own mind. Sister Helen writes and said, Lloyd LeBlanc says that when he arrived with sheriff's deputies there in the cane field to identify his son, he had knelt by his boy, laying down there with his two little eyes sticking out like bullets, and prayed the Our Father. Can you visualize it? Dad kneeling in the dirt over the lifeless corpse of his boy. And instead of thinking of revenge, of murder, he begins to pray the Our Father. He's a good Catholic man, and the words of the Our Father are what govern his life. At least they're supposed to. And so he begins, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Now, it would be hard at that moment not to fall down in the dirt and instead scream at heaven, My Father, where were you? Father, when this happened, why did you let my boy die? Damn you! But Lloyd prays, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And I cannot imagine the universal pause that must have followed next. The angels must have bent low. Jesus must have drawn very near. God himself must have come down from heaven to that cane field to listen to this incredibly brave man. Would he resort to anger, to the bitterness of hate, to the street mathematics of this battle-weary world? Or would Lloyd LeBlanc finish his prayer? And after a moment, after that pregnant pause, that precious, horrible moment of weighing the cost, Mr. Lloyd LeBlanc went on, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. He said it. He actually said it. In fact, I didn't really tell it right, because Helen Prejean says that when Lloyd got to that line, he did not halt or equivocate. Whoever did this, I forgive them, he said. On April 5, 1984, midnight in the Angola Penitentiary execution chamber, when Patrick Saunier, moments away from death, said to him, Mr. LeBlanc, I want to ask your forgiveness for what me and Eddie done. This Christian man nodded, signaling a forgiveness he had already given. And here at the close of our hard adventure together, friend, rising above anger, I guess I just want to close and say this. The Bible doesn't invite us to forgive because it will make us happier. To use forgiveness as a coping technique, a mental game, a psychological tactic of conflict resolution. I read what this Christian man did in that cane field, and I realize that we are being invited to actually move to an entirely different kingdom. It's as mind-blowing as that. Father, forgive them, is the eternal foundation of a different kingdom, a kingdom not of this world. And we're invited to move to this amazing place. A few years ago, our broadcast at the Voice of Prophecy, my writers and I took on the 7-week challenge of talking about some of Jesus's best parables. I discovered that these stories teach over and over the mathematics of a faraway kingdom. A guy works 1 hour and gets paid for a whole day. That's heaven's math in heaven's kingdom. A prodigal son totally blows his dad's fortune, but gets forgiven. Gets a whole new fortune. Heaven's math in heaven's kingdom. People with no money, no tuxedos, no tickets, all invited to a black tie wedding feast. Heaven's math. The first shall be last, and the last first. Heaven's math. Nails are being driven into your hands and feet. Father, forgive them. Heaven's math in heaven's kingdom. Your worst hurts and hatreds given to a strong Father. Dad, you take care of this. That's what you can say when you move to this wonderful, distant, different kingdom. And you never want to go live there and say, Father, forgive them, unless you were sure Dad could take care of it.